Welcome to another episode of Moments with Moms. Today we're going to be talking about shepherding your gifts in the midst of chaos. And I don't know about you, but for me right now with a 2-year-old, my life is a little chaotic. So I've kind of lost track of what my gifts even are or how to shepherd them. So my really good friend, Amy Lechner, is here to talk about that and to help us find those moments. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and take this moment just for you. Welcome back. I'm so excited that you guys have chose to join us for another episode of Moments for Moms. I'm hoping that you're loving these shows and that these are just a small moment that you can take for yourself in the midst of whatever your season might look like. Whether it's chaotic, whether your kids are out of the house, you can just have a moment for you. And I really appreciate you joining us for that. So my sweet friend, Amy Lechner, is here again, joining us to talk about this.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
I'm
Thanks
back.
for coming back.
Yeah, I wore my hair in a ponytail.
I like it.
Okay, thanks.
So cute.
Yes, we need to talk about moments for ourselves.
Yeah.
We all struggle with this, even with little ones, or like you said, your kids are out of the house. But we need to take just a moment for ourselves, but using our spiritual gifts or shepherding our
gifts. Which is different than self-care.
Yes.
So this is
exactly what I was.
Totally different. Yeah. The words out of your mouth.
Yeah, because we're soul sisters.
We are.
So. With that being said, sometimes we're both singers, and I know that you really love to sing on the praise team, and it just is so good for your soul because you're using the giftings that the Lord's given you to draw people in to serve Him. But sometimes we don't have time. I mean, right now you're in a season where it takes practice one night, and then you're there all day Sunday for that. So we have to take a moment, and a moment may be singing, just taking and finding a song that you absolutely love and singing it for the Lord, or singing it with your little one.
Right.
And Him seeing you sing and loving it is, encouraging Him to do something that He loves too. And seeing His mama do that is important. I know sometimes you want to get away from your kids, but you can take just a second, find a song that you love, grab your guitar and just sing and just pour your heart into it and sing.
Yeah, we did get him, he has tiny little guitars. He's got 2 of them. So we're preparing him for this.
Yes, and I'm sure they sound awesome.
They're incredible. We mostly sing the dump truck song and the lawnmower song.
Well, I hope you're warmed up before you start getting into those, because you really gotta. I'm sure they're entertaining.
They're very entertaining.
And that's something really fun to do. Maybe you can take a second and sing something and have him listen to it, and then him join in.
Right.
And you guys can have a party and make it fun and sing and then other gifts that we have, like some of them are spiritual giftings like encouragement, and just. Like that's what I believe one of my spiritual giftings is encouragement.
Yes,
and
I agree.
I'll go through my phone and I just know that I just take a second and encourage somebody and just but I just really make it like I go down my phone and I take a second to encourage them on whatever they're doing, and it is a moment for me as well.
Yeah,
it's just awesome. And then I also have my kids. I talk to them when they were little. I used to, when they go to school, I'd say, hey, I want you to say something nice to somebody today, even if it's just, and then let's talk about it at dinner. And then we had something to talk about.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
You can use your spiritual gifting and then encourage your kids to do it too.
Yeah.
I just feel like we don't take any time for those, even if we don't have the time that we think we should.
Right.
And then we feel guilty. We're like,
yes. And something that I'm dealing with, because like worship is my main, like I'm like, that has always been who I am. So I really found my identity in that a lot. And now that that's kind of been taken away, something that you said before we started filming is like you might discover some other spiritual gifts that you didn't even know that you had. So that's kind of a season that I'm in, is learning to not find because even though that's my spiritual gift, that's not who I am.
Well, and
too,
we always go to what we know we have.
Absolutely,
You're like, well, obviously you're a great singer and people have always praised you for that and you feel connected to the Lord with it.
Right.
But sometimes when things are taken away from us for a season, beautiful things come to us that we didn't even know that we were capable of.
Right.
And I
we
know
let
that's for
them.
sure. Yeah, if we let them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we don't feel guilty
Right.
about, nurturing those.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, the older you get, you start realizing that you have different ones. And like, I didn't know that, I never really planned to be a mama. Like that wasn't like, all I want to do is be a mom.
Right.
And then when I became a mom, I was like, wow, I am not patient.
Right.
I knew that was my gifting. No,
Right.
But I was more creative than I thought I could be.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, you have to be creative,
Right.
these little minds. And so I always kind of pegged myself as, discipline and all this stuff, but I was creative. And so, yeah, you can definitely, especially with kids,
Mm-hmm.
you can learn about yourself too, that you have different spiritual giftings.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, something that I've been doing is we've been trying to get our women's group that we had for years back together, but now we do all have kids. And if we're all together, there could be up to 18 children.
Oh, yeah, I know
so
that.
none of our homes can hold.
Right.
We probably could.
I think it's a fire hazard too. That's daycare.
It's a fire hazard. I don't want 18 children. I can't. Like I could not function. Like
That's
I
not
do
my
good
gifting.
with one in my house. But something that I've really been able to pour into and try and cultivate is that community. Like it might look different, but like still like that is something like cultivating community with women. And the show also, like it's not just a TV show. Like my heart for this is to cultivate community, because we did talk about in a previous episode, like especially stepping back from the worship team, like some of those girls were like family to me. And now
Yes.
I don't see them every Sunday. I don't see them all the time and talk to them all the time. So it could be very isolating when you have to lay something down for a season, or if it looks different for a season.
And looking different for a season could be reaching out to one of your girlfriends that's on the praise team and hanging out with her and singing together.
Yeah.
Just taking 30 minutes. Your kids, you two together and your kids are doable.
Right.
That's a doable
Absolutely,
situation where
yeah.
you get together
Yes.
and sing, and that's going to, benefit both of you.
Right.
And the kids like to be together too. So yeah, it may not be the praise team, but you could reach out to one of the girls and not feel isolated,
Right. Yeah.
Just a little different view on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Bobby and I talk about this a lot, because I feel like I just kind of like struggle sometimes thinking like, who am I? What do I do? Am I just a mom? Am I just a wife? Like all I do is work, and then I go home and cook, and then he gets a bath, and then he goes to bed, and then I go to bed, and then we get up
And we repeat it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all of your topics, because they are so real and relatable to, I feel like every mom feels that way at some point, especially early on.
Yeah.
Your whole life is turned upside down, and it's all about this one, your little peanut, and you have to do, everything changes, and it's so sacrificial, and you love it, but it's still grueling. I mean, you can love something so much, but it still takes a toll on you, and it's okay that it does.
Yeah.
You have to have community where you talk about it and say, hey, you know what? Let's go to the zoo together. And so it's not so overwhelming. It's not so overwhelming. You love to, maybe some of your giftings is like to plan. Some people just love to plan outings, to go, and you can do that for your friends.
Right.
And get together and go experience something together.
Yeah.
And it's not as like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this?
And I think what you're talking about, and I want to keep going with this in our second segment, but like touching back around on authentic communication and not being isolated. So we're going to pick back up on that in a second.
Perfect.
We're going to take a break. So stay tuned. Stephanie's going to have a home hack. So I'm sure you're going to love this. She's amazing. And we'll see you back in just a minute.
The hat. The city.
Hey friends, it's Stephanie. And because of inflation and the price of groceries right now, today on What the Heck, I wanted to share with you items that maybe you didn't know you could freeze. So the first item is cheese. So if you shred it before you freeze it, because block cheese doesn't turn out the best in the freezer, you want to buy the blocks to save money, and then you shred it. You store it in a freezer bag. You let out the excess air. To avoid clumping, you can add a tablespoon of cornstarch for every pound of cheese. So you just shake it up, shake the bag, and seal it and put it in the freezer. If you don't want to add cornstarch, what you can do is you can freeze it on a cookie sheet. Once it's frozen, put it in a bag, and then no cornstarch would be needed. And then you just need to let it thaw in the fridge for about 24 hours, and you can leave cheese in the freezer for up to 6 months. So that's great to know. So the next item is milk. You can freeze milk. So if you just pour a little bit out of the milk carton so it doesn't expand too much before you place it in the freezer, and then when you're ready to use it, you put it in the refrigerator, you let it thaw completely, and then once thawed, you just shake it up. Now the milk may look a little yellow when frozen. That's completely fine. It'll whiten up as it thaws. And again, 6 months, you can leave that in the freezer. I know people with a lot of children who love milk. That's a great tip. The next item is heavy cream and whipping cream. So you can just freeze small amounts in ice cube trays. You put that in the freezer, and then you can just take those out and put them into freezer storage bags. And each little cube would contain about 2 tablespoons of liquid. Or to freeze larger amounts, you simply place the original carton in the freezer. If it's a full carton, you want to pour a little bit out to allow for expansion. When frozen and thawed, it won't be as fluffy when whipped. So just remember that. And then the next item is eggs. I love eggs. It's a great protein. So you just crack and whisk the eggs and pour them into an ice cube tray. Now, an easy twist tray is best to use for eggs. Then you can use muffin tins for larger egg portions. Then you just transfer them into a freezer bag. You defrost for about 24 hours in the fridge before use, and they last 9 months to a year in the freezer, and those would be great for baking, for scrambled eggs, whatnot. The next item is butter. You can keep butter in the original packaging, the wrapper and the box, and put it in the freezer for up to a year. And those who bake know that frozen butter is best for like grating and putting in biscuits and pie crusts. And then the last items would be yogurt, sour cream, ricotta cheese, cottage cheese. You simply put the desired amount in a muffin tin and put it in the freezer for a couple hours. And then once frozen, you transfer it into a freezer bag and put it back in the freezer. Super simple. So I just wanted to share these few things. Every dollar counts. Every dollar counts. Just remember that. So some simple ideas for you to freeze some items if you find them on sale. And I can't wait to catch you next time on What the Hack.
We want to connect with you. Make sure to visit our website, momentsformoms.tv, for the latest episodes of the show, guest information, resources, and so much more. Visit momentsformoms.tv today.
What if Moments for Moms is more than just a show? It is a community of moms encouraging each other on this incredible journey we have been called to. Join our private Facebook group to share your mom moments, questions, small victories, and connect with other moms as we all come together in this ministry called Motherhood. We can't wait to see you there.
One of the things that God really radically changed me in about a decade ago, my oldest son was very, very sick, and my husband lost his job in the middle of that. And it was one of the hardest years or couple years of my life. In about a 48-hour period of time, we let go of about 80 to 85% of what was in a 2,700 square foot home and 2-car garage. And that was not an easy task, but in a way, it really was, because God was leading the way, and He was showing us very quickly what mattered like that and what didn't. And so for us, we had to do what we had to do at that point in time. What we didn't know is that change was going to take us on a journey for the next 10 years that I will never, ever regret or ever back down from. And we have a more minimalistic approach to living. So we don't shop really much at all. And that's totally great, because it really helps with living on less. But it makes room and it makes time for the things that really, really do matter and that matter to God. And that is that when we're with our children, that there is valuable time there, that we're going to be instilling in them principles and life truths. And so I'm really, really grateful to God that through hard things, he taught me how to let go of physical things and to press into more eternal things. And that is what I want to share with you all.
Welcome back. I hope you all are enjoying this episode of Moments for Moms. Make sure you join our private Facebook group. That's a group where you can go on and you can put your questions, you can put videos, and not just everybody sees it. That's really where our community happens. So I would love for you to join us there. And I'm sure my friend Amy will be hanging out with us there too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
I am
Okay.
part of the community.
I'm so glad. Speaking of community,
So
we were
important.
just talking
Yes.
about authentic communication and not isolating. And
Yes.
something that I've recently realized just this past year, because maybe 2 years after having a baby, just the fear and anxiety that comes along with that, for me, that was something I didn't expect. So we were talking about cultivating, like using our spiritual gifts, and one that I was saying was like kind of cultivating that community. That's something that I
Yes.
didn't know was a spiritual gift, but I feel like that's really like something that I'm doing in this season. So in the midst of that, like allowing God to kind of like shift my seasons and what I'm doing in those seasons, maybe stepping down from the worship team for a season and using this cultivating gift, is I've found that this authentic communication and conversations that I'm having with these women that I love dearly, we just don't have time to hang out all the time because we have
'cause you have
lots of kids between all of us, is that I'm really not as alone as I felt. So it's like when we let the Lord show us maybe what some other giftings are, like he also opens those doors for other people too. So it's like
Absolutely.
cultivating that.
And sometimes when when you start having authentic community, they bring out giftings that you didn't know you had.
Right.
But I want to talk really quick about authentic
Yeah.
community. What we are online is not authentic community.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
true.
know, everything that you're looking at
Absolutely.
and that causes stress and we do feel alone. We're like, well, how come they can do all that and stay, you know, like they have all the perfect meals and everybody's happy and nobody does. And I think where you want to be and where we want this group to be is a place of safety with authenticity that makes you not feel alone or guilty or, you know, bad about feeling a certain way as you're parenting, because we all have moments and it's okay to feel frustrated and overwhelmed and you need help, and that's normal. That's absolutely normal. And when we start saying that we should be, you know, we're not meant to be all that. We're meant to give that to the Lord, and He is our source. But community is very important. So yeah, I think community can help us find other spiritual giftings, encourage us, help us know that we're not alone, that you're experiencing the same thing, and I love that. That's how we build each other up, and that's how we get through it. I think that I wanted to backtrack just a second and talk about not feeling guilty.
Yeah, for sure.
Not feeling guilty about taking time for yourself, because when we touched on it and we actually talked about resentment and, you know, feeling guilty, we can't do that for ourselves because everybody else needs us, and that is true. But at the end of the day, if you don't take that time for yourself, and I've had it personally, I mean, it builds up and you become so angry, you become somebody that you're not. And that feeling of being out of control, of just being so mad about things that you could have talked about before, but it could be a pride issue with yourself. I know for me, it was prideful. I was like, I'll just do everything and, you know, blah, 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 blah. But I became somebody that I didn't want to be. So I think having accountability in a group too, where it's like, hey, you know what? I've been feeling this way. I'm really frustrated. You know, I do everything. And then your friend being able to say, you know what? Why don't you have your husband unload the dishwasher, or teach a child how to do that, make it a teachable moment, or something fun, because I never want to feel that way. I'm a happy, fun person.
And something
not
you
as being
said,
resentful, you know.
But something you said, like, because that's not who you are. And I'm thinking, like, okay, so with spiritual gifts, God gave those to us, so they are part of who we are. So if we're not using those, you know what I mean? It kind of is neglecting a part of who we are. So we are not fully operating in all that God has called us to be. Like, I'm not, I am a mom, but I'm not just a mom. I am a wife, but I'm not just a wife. And like, it is like in these busy seasons, like it's easy to compartmentalize because like this, I have to keep this child alive. Like,
Right.
this is like, you have to eat food.
Yeah.
You're
You're responsible.
like, I'm responsible for this baby. So like, it's like so easy to just compartmentalize that. And then I'm just overcompensating in that area so much where I actually don't have as much control over that as I think that I do anyways.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But there is a huge lack of balance. I'm giving 90% here and splitting up my other 10%.
And then you feel guilty about taking
About
that time,
everything.
right? You feel guilty if you do anything.
100% guilty.
I do not feel guilty.
And I love you for that.
I do not feel guilty because I have lived that.
Right.
And I have experienced who and what I become when I don't take time for balance. I want to be a kind, loving, grateful person. And I am. That's the way that the Lord designed me. But I have gone through a season of being angry with my children, with my husband. And I don't want to be that way.
Right.
I am a better mother and a better wife. Everybody gets what they need in a lovely way when I take care of myself.
Yeah.
You know, men innately can do that.
Right.
That's their gifting.
Yeah.
They can just be like, hey, I'm going to go to bed right now because I'm tired, you know? Or, you know, and we just keep plugging and plugging and plugging
Right.
until we shut down or we go crazy, you know,
Right.
we yell. And if we can just take time, but if we can not feel guilty about the balance act of things for ourselves and motherhood and you know, taking care of our relationship with our spouse,
Right.
and then work and everything else.
Right,
you know?
right. And prioritizing it, right? Like
You
God
have to.
first, family second, work last. Like, and even like for me, like we talked about writing, like that's something like an application. Like we can write those things down. What falls under each one of those? Do you know what I mean? Like if
And
I
then
can
prepare.
like see something, yes.
And then prepare. I'm
You
all
are.
about preparation. That's how you become successful.
Yeah.
Is you can talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to, and I like to write it down, do it.
Yeah.
And you know, just be prepared.
Yeah.
Because when you're prepared, you'll do it. If you're not, if not, flaky.
With everything.
Everything.
With everything.
Everything from taking time for devotions to making good, healthy meals to exercise. Anything that you can do for balance.
Right. Yeah.
You have to be prepared because you will be pulled in different directions, and you'll go, and then it'll be the end of the day, and you'll feel bad that you didn't.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Yay.
I love having you
It was so
back.
much fun. I
Yes,
love
it
you,
was.
Ashley.
Yes. And thank you all for tuning in again. Dr. Brooks Gibbs is going to be coming up next with a mental health moment, and you don't want to miss that. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you next time.
For the Christian Television Network, I'm Dr. Brooks Gibbs, and this is your mental health moment. Today, we're focusing on an emotion that has the power to uplift us and create a positive ripple effect on those around us: joy. In Psalm chapter 16, verse 11, we find a profound revelation. The Bible says, "In your presence is fullness of joy." This verse illuminates a critical aspect of joy. It is not a fleeting happiness dependent on external circumstances, but a deep, abiding joy that we find in God's presence. This joy is a sustaining force, a wellspring of positivity that does not dry up when trials come our way. So amidst, life's ups and downs, challenges and trials, we have to remember to seek and dwell in this profound joy. It's a potent salve for our souls and a reinforcement for our mental and emotional resilience. So spend some time in the presence of God today and let His peace guard your heart in Christ Jesus. For Christian Television Network, I'm Dr. Brooks Gibbs.
What If? Moments for Moms is available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Whether you are running errands, driving your kids around, or heading to work, you can have a moment of encouragement just for you. Just search What If? Moments for Moms and listen now.
I'm here with my friend and coworker, Elise. She is a mom of triplets, and we're here also with one of her triplets,
Amerisa.
Amerisa. I knew I wasn't going to get it right. Anyway,
Oops.
Elise, if you could give the moms of multiples a piece of advice, what would it be?
What I would say is, as crazy as life gets and as hectic as things are, always take a moment for yourself to pray and just enjoy the moment, because it goes so quickly. And before you know it, they're all grown up. And prayer in the morning is the most important. That's the biggest thing. And they turn out beautiful.
Sweet. Thank you. Thanks, Elise. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
What If? Moments for Moms is more than just a show. It is a community of moms encouraging each other on this incredible journey we have been called to. Join our private Facebook group to share your mom moments, questions, small victories, and connect with other moms as we all come together in this ministry called Motherhood. We can't wait to see you there.
Hey, Jonah. What are you doing?
Making lemonade.
What are you making lemonade for?
For like kindness on the cul-de-sac.
What's that about?
We give stuff out and then they donate money.
Yeah. And so we're making magical lemonade, right?
Yeah.
It turns different colors, transforming. So as you can see, we need some red cabbage boiled with fresh squeezed lemon.
I think it's time for that.
Almost. How about we come back after we cut up all of these lemons? Watch this knife, please. And show them, everybody, what color it changes to.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so now we're back. The cabbage sugar syrup is done. We're still working on some lemonade, but we've got a lot of lemon juice. So we put a couple spoonfuls into the blue liquid, and look. What do you think, Joanna? Matches your shirt.
Oh.
Oh, here. Take a paper straw. Do you want to taste? Oh, you're doing the spin. Okay. Now take it and tell us how it tastes to you. Be careful, that's hot.
Can you move that?
Yeah. There you are.
Good.
Good. All right. Let's finish making the rest of these, okay? Love you. Bye.
We want to connect with you. Make sure to visit our website, momentsformoms.tv, for the latest episodes of the show, guest information, resources, and so much more. Visit momentsformoms.tv today.
What If? Moments for Moms is available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Whether you are running errands, driving your kids around, or heading to work, you can have a moment of encouragement just for you. Just search What If? Moments for Moms and listen now.